Welcome to Skin Sync, the official podcast of Elevate-Derm Alliance, your trusted source for the latest in dermatology for PAs and NPs. Join our hosts for real clinician perspectives and expert guest insights as they explore everyday dermatology topics with practical takeaways.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Skin Sync podcast. This is Bucci Nita, and I'm back today with Jenny Laminack, my co-host for the day, Elevate colleague, and our philanthropy chair with Elevate-Derm. We are so excited to be joined here by a very special guest. Francesca Tinconi is the founder and executive director of the Children's Skin Disease Foundation. She graduated from Duke University with a bachelor's in psychosocial impacts of chronic childhood illness. She focused on the psychological impacts, the biological and public policy aspects of chronic illness in children. She has completed the post-bac science at the University of Southern California and worked as a co-investigator on clinical trials in the Division of Dermatology at UCLA, which have now been published. In 2018, Francesca earned her MBA at Berkeley Haas School of Business with a focus on healthcare and nonprofit management. She has been a board member of SKIN and advisory to Duke University Trinity Board of Visitors. She currently serves as the Patient Advocacy Committee for Pediatric Dermatology Research Alliance and is the chair for 2023 and 2024. Francesca, welcome to the Skin Sync podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to talk about kind of your background and your history, but just looking at your bio, it almost seems like you were like born to do this. This was your passion and from day one, from your bachelor's degree. So let's kind of go back into your background, your history, how you got to this place today.
So it became my passion through experience. I was actually diagnosed myself with a skin disease at 11 years old, a very, very, very rare skin disease called pemphigus foliaceus. Through that experience, especially back then, I understood the lack of support for children, especially with skin diseases, but also the impact. I was a normal, healthy child. I was a swimmer. I was in school, and I had very few health issues. But when I was diagnosed with skin disease, it really changed my life. And I fully understood the impact of not only having a disease, but having a disease that was incredibly visual. Kids with skin disease literally wear their disease. Any pediatric illness is devastating, but a lot of kids can hide from it. They can look normal. They can go out and feel normal. And kids with skin disease just don't have that opportunity. And so when I was in college, I really wanted to understand all the different aspects of disease, public policy, the psychology of it, the biology of it. And then trying to figure out what I wanted to do later in life, became apparent that I still wanted to do something to advocate for kids with skin disease and really make sure that advocacy continues. And that includes, Children's Skin Disease Foundation.
You've done just that.
Thank you.
Excellent.
No, it's been incredible. I think, Francesca, we're so thankful that she's done these things and able to include us as well.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
So with your experience as a child, what were the things that most of us as clinical providers really don't think about that you were going through? Obviously pain. I mean, you had pretty severe body surface involvement.
Yes.
What are some of the things that we don't really consider as a child suffering with a severe skin disease?
I mean, I think it's changed dramatically, honestly. When I was diagnosed, there wasn't a lot of thought of the mental impact of it. There wasn't a lot of thought. It was more clinical, and understandably, because that's a practitioner's job. But I think it's such a great change I've seen over the years where practitioners understand and address the impacts. Just self-confidence, just feeling different. That constant discomfort, I will say. Pemphigus, there was nothing medically that could treat for years. So I was on prednisone for 24 years. And then I did rituximab, and that really helped get my skin clear. After I was off of prednisone for a couple years, I finally understood the impacts. I didn't know people lived like this. Like, I didn't know people lived without prednisone and the side effects of prednisone. And it's just kind of a constant discomfort that's really hard to explain and that really impacts every aspect of your life. But I do applaud the field because the fact that you're even asking that question would not have happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So I think just even asking that question is such a huge change. And I know patients appreciate when clinicians even just ask the question and give opportunities to talk about it and address it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, actually, Bucci and I had a previous episode where we were talking about how we're gauging how our patients are feeling about their skin disease and incorporating maybe like the Dermatology Quality of Life Index and really asking them, even though it's something you can't see, how are they feeling with their skin disease?
Yeah. Sometimes it's almost hard to answer that question too, because for us, it's normal life. When you are itching or, have side effects from medications 24/7, it becomes normal. And so when especially of our kids that have really severe illnesses, we look at them and think they must be in such pain, and they're not, because it's that pain level and that discomfort is normal. It's hard because a lot of times we'll even ask kids, "Are you okay?" And they're like, "I'm fine." And I think, okay, well, they're not acknowledging their feelings, but they might not even have them because that is their normal baseline life. So, that's what we focus on, is just, okay, that's their baseline, but how do we layer on fun? How do you layer on life? How do you layer on experiences while having that kind of, baseline experience?
So let's get into that. So
Mm.
you founded the Children's Skin Disease Foundation. Where did that idea kind of blossom from? What was the
Yeah.
experience kind of developing it? And what actually does the organization do? Who do you serve? What all do you do?
So, like I touched on previously, there was really a lack of support for myself and my family, right? As all of us know, when you have a child or even a person in the household that's sick, it impacts the entire house. And so, at the time, my mom had asked about support groups, and the only support groups were for adults. And so, my mom, wanted me to get this support and brought me to an adult support group. And we left halfway through because the stuff that they were talking about was A, not appropriate for a child, and B, was not applicable to me at that point in time. And so it was very frustrating for her as a mom not to have support. And it was frustrating for me as a child to not have support. And so, really just kept thinking about that. And I have a very supportive family, but they also couldn't understand and they couldn't support me because they weren't living it day to day. And so for my 16th birthday, my high school was very into community service and encouraged us to give back to our community. And my community is pediatric dermatology. And so I thought, well, 16th birthday, it's a big birthday, right? I thought I was a little conniving. I was like, I'm going to leverage this. I'm going to leverage this as much as I can. And so asked family and friends to donate to start a nonprofit for my 16th
At
birthday.
16 years
At
old.
16,
That's
that
brilliant.
was
so
That's
incredible.
excellent.
I had a little letter that I wrote, and back then it was typing. And so I sent it to family and friends and said, I want to do this. I want to start this. And so my family and friends gave that seed money to start the foundation. And then started to go out into the community and ask for donations. And one of the things I missed the most about when I was sick was summer camp. I had gone to summer camp every summer since I was, I don't know, 5 years old. And it's a culture, it's a community, it's something that's hard to explain. But it's kind of this really intense friendship for a week, and you have this experience together, and it is a community and it's a support system. And I really miss that. And I thought, well, if I can't go because I have a skin disease, then there must be other kids out there that have either A, never experienced camp because they've had it from birth, or B, are also missing camp because they have a skin disease. And so I thought, well, this is such a fun way. The whole mission of the foundation is bringing kids together in this fun way, in this supportive way. Let's do a summer camp. Like let's make that our fun support group for the week. And so it took us about a year and a half to raise money for the very first year. Our very first year, we had a total of, I want to say, 51 people. We now have 180. So we've grown tremendously, learned tremendously. And so, really just still maintained, though, that family culture, because that's what we want to give our kids, that we want to give our families. And then we have different aspects. So the kids come to camp. The parents don't come to camp. It's everybody's week apart from each other. But that also gives the parents time to connect and to be together. And we have a group of moms that actually stay locally. And I think they have just as much fun as we do. They go wine tasting.
So they have their mom camp.
They have their mom camp. And that's so important to give them that week of just relaxing and having that community. And that support system is very important. It's been interesting over 26 years to see the difference in pediatric dermatology in the community, and how much support is now going into supporting families like we're talking about for the mental health side.
Who are the children that you serve?
Mhm.
Obviously, there's a wide range of skin diseases. Are we
Yeah.
talking the more severe, like what you experienced? Is
Yeah.
it the severe atopic dermatitis? Is
Yeah.
it across the board?
It's really across the board. We really did for a while focus on, I would say, the more severe spectrums of skin diseases. What we learned over the years is if you have a child with atopic derm, right? With atopic derm, I don't know if I'm misspeaking, but if you compare atopic derm to like EB, right? And you will say, oh, atopic derm is not as intense as EB. And it's not in many, many ways physically. They're actually very similar. They look different, they feel different, they're in discomfort. So that's what we look at and we think, any child with any skin disease is welcome at camp. We take them 6 to 16, very large age range, and we take them from all over the country. And especially, the last couple years, we've really wanted to really make sure that we get kids that live rurally because I lived near a major medical center. So I assumed all kids with pediatric dermatology go to major medical centers, and that's where we would get our kids from. Learned over the years, some kids don't see a dermatologist. They see a pediatrician because where they live, there's certainly not a dermatologist, let alone a pediatric dermatologist. And so, we really want to make sure that any child who is experiencing this in any town in America gets to camp and gets that experience and can feel that empowerment and can feel that love and support. So we really do serve kids from all over the country. Last year, we had 56 of our kids flew in. We cover all the costs associated with camp. We don't charge the families. So many families absolutely could not afford, especially airfares nowadays. And we didn't want that to be something that they weren't offered because they couldn't afford it. So those are our guidelines of camp, I would say. Yes.
And can I just say that it is ran like a well-oiled machine? Can
Thank
you
you.
imagine getting 50 some odd children through the Atlanta airport, like into buses and then to this camp, and they just make it look so easy. They've done such a good job.
And I have to
Well,
imagine.
thank you for saying that. It feels like chaos in our mind. But yeah, we do, we obviously, we want to make sure that they are well taken care of. The kids love it. We've had kids that have never been on a plane
I was just going to
before.
ask you that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that they've never traveled before
Never
in their
traveled.
life. So how amazing for them.
It
to have
is.
this experience.
It's harder for the parents, honestly. I mean, the parents are nervous wrecks, and the kids, and also I will say, we partner with Delta Airlines. They're so kind. The kids get to go in the cockpit, and they get the little wings. So it's really sweet, and they love it. And if you're familiar with Atlanta Airport, there's a plane train. So it's so large that you have to take a train to get to the different terminals. And they're on there. I mean, they think it's fun. I have a really great video where the last day of camp when everybody was going out and they're all pouting and crying and nobody wants to go home. One of our staff members started to sing a song in the plane train. And so all of our kids are singing the plane train. And it's really cute. We try and the camp experience is from the moment they land to the moment they go home. So thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
So what actually happens at camp? Jenny, you've been able to actually experience camp. So you can tell us kind of from your point of view, what happens at this camp?
Camp is amazing, but it's very much like any summer camp. Like you're doing a lot of outdoor activities, swimming in the pool, archery, arts and crafts, amazing meals like that I did not miss 3 times a day. And these kids are able to truly just be kids. They don't have to worry about, with the epidermolysis bullosa kids, those EB kids, they're not worrying about having dressing changes because we're taking care of that. They're not having to worry about, someone doing their feeding tube because the nurses there are doing that. They're able to just sort of really enjoy their summer and their friendships and just be normal kids.
I love that. And you guys make accommodations for children, right? You have medical care, you have,
We
nurses
do. We have quite a large medical staff. Again, we want parents to feel completely comfortable and safe sending their kids to camp, making sure that their care is continued the week of camp. And so Jenny was a wonderful part of that. And we have doctors, nurses, PAs that all volunteer their time. Everybody is volunteer at camp. And so it's a really great experience, both for the kids and the medical staff. For the kids, they get to see healthcare professionals in not a scary setting, right? Their normal experience with healthcare professionals is in a clinical setting, talking medical jargon, talking about them. So there's a sense of fear. I can firsthand explain what that fear is like. They come to camp and they do see them in a care setting, but then they also see them on the stage. The med staff does a talent show skit, and then they're in the pool with the kids, and they get to see them as people and as caretakers, which is exactly what they went into medicine to do. And so they get to see that, and they get to, we actually had one kid say, well, I didn't know doctors were fun. We're like, yes, they are. I promise you. I didn't know nurses and PAs were fun. They are. And then on the flip side, the healthcare professionals, they get to see the true impact of a disease. They get to see how it impacts every aspect of their life all day long. We have one nurse who gives a talk before camp every year we have residents and medical students that come. And she says, this is your week to understand when you prescribe something, when you tell a family that they have to do something, guess what? You have to do it this week. So think about ways that you can treat them, but also treat them in ways that fit into their life that, you have to understand they have to go live their lives. And so you have to, our physicians come away with a better understanding of medicine, a better understanding of patients, and it makes them better practitioners. And so we really appreciate that they donate their time to come for the week.
That's fantastic. What do you think? Because obviously we know that what the providers are walking out with
Yeah.
when they finish this camp. What about the kids? When they walk in
Yeah.
the door from day one of camp to when they leave, what do you see in their eyes? What do you see in their body
Yeah.
language?
That's a great question. Complete difference, quite honestly. It's always interesting because after doing this for so long, we can identify on the first night the kids that are new because they're shy. You can see it in their shoulders. A lot of them have hoods on. We actually used to have well, we still do a dress code policy, but we used to have a policy of no bikinis, and we still do for our staff. But we had a little girl one year, and she was probably 8 or 9 years old, and she brought this, cute little bikini, and she had never put a bathing suit on because she was so self-conscious of her skin. But she had gone to, the store and she had bought it and she was so excited, and her counselors came to us. And so, we kind of to watch her be so self confident to come out to the pool and put that on was amazing, and it really is a complete change. We see empowerment, we see security. Really, at the end of the day, they feel secure. When the parents call us and ask, "Well, what if my child gets homesick?" And we will happily call you if there's an issue. We have never sent a child home
I was
homesick.
just going to ask you that question.
26 years. And I always say to the parents, believe me, it's going to be harder to get them to go home than it is to get them to stay. At the airport, we've had them rip up their tickets, thinking that if they rip up their ticket, then they won't have to go home. And we're like, no. So
Wow.
now we actually have 2 copies of every ticket because we're like, we're well aware. We've had them throw it away.
That is funny.
It's really just, it's a place of safety. And so we really see this confidence. And then over 26 years, we get to see them from year to year. It's not just during the week of camp, it's from year to year. So, seeing them come at 9 years old and then now they're staff members. They were a shy 9-year-old who didn't want to talk to anybody, who didn't want to talk about their skin disease. They're now a counselor talking to their kids, talking to other staff members about skin disease, about resilience. We have medical staff that were former campers. So we have 2 of our medical staff. They came at 9 and 10 and they're now physicians. They did not go into peds derm. We tried to get them to go into peds derm. Very, very bitter about it. But, it's really amazing to see them. This is where I get emotional. It's amazing to see them grow into the humans that we know they are, but that they just didn't know that they were. Jenny it was part of our group, but I think what I always come away from camp every year is just the kindness. We just have kind people that have been through so much, and through that, they're not bitter. They're kind and they want to give back and they want to continue to support this community of pediatric dermatology and kind of the future generation of kids to make sure that they do as well as they did.
It's fantastic. Jenny, what was the highlight of your experience at camp? I know you actually stayed in like the dorms, right? With
Yes,
with
stayed
the
in the dorm.
kids.
I was with the other medical staff. My highlight, there were several, but really getting to work alongside Dr. Emily Gorell. She runs an epidermolysis bullosa clinic, and getting to see those kids with her and learning how to do the dressing changes, but not just that, like really seeing what the disease state was all about and how resilient and amazing these kids are. It was just awesome. But so many other highlights, but incredible.
This is phenomenal. You're doing really, really, really amazing work and changing lives. And I'm astounded that from such a young age that this idea blossomed into your head and you've turned it into something
Thank
real.
you.
Um,
Well, it was, I love to take all the credit. I would love to. It is beyond a team effort. Team is not the word. It has been 25 years, 2.5 decades of medical volunteers, activity volunteers, parents having trust in us to send us their kids. I always say that is a huge leap of faith to put your child on a plane half the time to people that you have never met. So those parents deserve a ton of credit. Volunteers, donors, we cover 100% of the cost. We can't do that without people investing in us. And we always tell them it's an investment that you're making in us. And so it's really, if I think about it, hundreds of thousands, if not thousands of people that have supported us over the years to get us to this point. And we're beyond grateful. We had a 25th anniversary celebration last year. And it was really wonderful to really think back everybody that supported us over the years, because it does, like I said, I come away and I'm just so reinvigorated hope in humanity, I would say, because of the kindness that we see and the support that we see, including having us on a podcast today. Raising awareness is such a huge part in just the fact that you're giving us the time and including us in your podcast. You're part of the Camp Wonder community now, whether you like it or not.
I know. I want to be desperately. So for everyone listening to the podcast today, we've got APPs on the podcast. We've got everyone listening, our industry friends. What can we do as of today to help support the Children's Skin Disease Foundation?
Thank you. Like I said, raise awareness. If you're a provider and you have patients that would benefit from camp, please, you can go on our website. You can refer them to us.
Ages 6 to 16, right?
Ages 6 to 16, anywhere in North America with any skin disease. So, refer patients. Raise awareness in your community. If there's a volunteer opportunity that you want people to come and volunteer at camp, if you have a child that's high school that you want to come volunteer at camp and sleep in a dorm with 12 other people, and there's no technology. We take phones. There's no technology at camp. We'll kind of get that experience of giving back. Come to us, and then also obviously donations. Anytime we're a small organization, we're not funded by any large institution, and so any donations we are greatly appreciative for. And really just those are the best ways to support us.
Is the camp all over the U.S. or do you guys move around to different cities?
We're right outside Atlanta, Georgia. Yes. So we are at a campsite built for kids with special needs. And the reason why we would love to be all over, the facilities that are needed medically are very specific. And so it's called the Med Lodge, and it's a building with beds and rooms. And so we run kind of a little mini hospital for the week. And then all of the activities are adaptive. So the pool, you can wheel into, all the showers, everything like that. So it's a very adaptive week. And we're there every year, end of June. Everybody can come join us, and it's really a fun week. And for adults, we get to be kids for the week. Selfishly, it's really fun to make s'mores again. I forgot how good a s'more is, and do archery and do arts and crafts and friendship bracelets. And I think it's really reinvigorating for all of us.
This is excellent. Francesca, we really deeply, truly appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
Elevate-Derm Alliance is happy to support your organization, and I've just learned a lot sitting here listening to you today. I'm very, very much inspired. Jenny, any final words, Jenny?
No, just to echo, thank you, Francesca, for being here and sharing your story with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for tuning in to SkinSync. Don't forget to subscribe to SkinSync on Spotify or Apple Podcasts so you never miss an episode. To explore more of Elevate's educational and career resources, visit elevate-derm.com. Please note, this podcast is for informational purposes only and not a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult a licensed healthcare provider before making medical decisions. Clinicians must rely on their own judgment and training in all patient care situations.